Revs are rising and the race gets underway then for 15 minutes. And it's a pretty good start then from the outside of the front row by John Village. The Mallock has to slot into second position. It looks like Ben Mile is up into third place. Tim Roebuck in fourth place in the Austin 7 as they go to the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend and now climb back up. Lock up there from Ben Mile there, the third position driver, but he manages to get the car turned through Druids okay for the first time. It's just in behind the pole position car of Tim Sage, which is now in second position, and it's Tim Roebuck third. I think it might be Simon Gallen, Roebuck in fourth. I think it's Simon Gallen up to fifth place in the second of the Austin 7s, but we do have the safety car out on circuit. It's because we have a car that stopped. Oh, it's Paul Mason's car that caused the safety car in qualifying that has stopped on the start line and has not got going, I'm afraid. They're just going to push it around the corner into the space behind the barriers, as you can see there on screen now. So I think it'll be a fairly short-lived safety car period, but nevertheless, a bit of a disruption at the beginning of this race, Marcus.
Yeah, what a shame. I mean, they are a little bit temperamental, I think we could say, and but just one of those things that happens. Best it happens now, rather than spoil the flow of the race, because at the end of this lap they should be able to get going again. It's John Village who made the best start in the Village V2, made the V1 back in 1973. Went on to win the European Formula Ford Championship, not in the car of his own manufacturer, but this one has a little Coventry Climax engine in it, and beautifully engineered, really nicely made, and John thoroughly enjoying himself all the way down from Chesterfield.
That's right, so they head around behind the safety car, which has its lights out, so that's going to pull in at the end of this lap. The car's actually fairly well spread out, even though they are behind the safety car, so it's not going to be a particularly dramatic restart, I don't think, and perhaps drivers could have done more to clump themselves together.
Back of the pack, isn't it? As a result of that,
it is. Yes, it should be right there at the back as the race restarts. Green flags waving around the circuit now to let drivers know that the incident has cleared. There is John Village then in the V2 from number 42, Tim Sage. He locks up into Druids this time. It was Ben Mile that did that on the first lap of the race. Tim Sage this time around, and he remains in second place, about 6 car lengths behind Village as they turn through Graham Hill Bend for the second lap. The Cooper has stopped, hasn't it? So as we can just see on the start of the Cooper straight there, appropriately enough, and that car is stricken.
Those are the Formula 3 cars of the 1950s. I mean, that's right. From 1950 when the FIA espoused it. So 500cc motorcycle engines. That's got a double knocker Norton in it. It's a Cooper Mark 10, not a Mark 2 as on the program. But shame we've got the safety car again, I think. Yeah,
looks like it. So one lap on, one lap off situation we have at the moment with the safety car, but it will need to be called to allow for the recovery of that James Wilson car that only managed one lap before grinding to a halt. There's the safety car you can see joining from the gap part way down the Cooper Straight, the exit of Graham Hill Bend, more or less, really. And it's they're waiting for John Village, who's about to come around the corner now, and yep, he sees the safety car. So John Village, Tim Sage, Ben Mile following one another around now behind the safety car for the second time in a matter of minutes.
Yep. And there was almost a second between first and second at the line that time. Ben Mile still third. In fact, there's been no fundamental changes in the order. The number 8 car, Peter Marsh, a big change from Caterham Racing,
yes,
to the number 8, which is the Austin 7 Paxton Special. Driver in his early 70s. Thought he ought to join the historic 750 Brigade. So slightly different eye line from Caterham's, I would have thought.
Yes, certainly would be.
Some good-looking cars out there. The 20 car I've just seen there, that's Ian Grant with his Merlin. That's a kind of a modern equivalent, isn't it, of
That's right.
a 750. But it's a shame because the Paul Mason car, a really, really good-looking machine that's been pushed back off the track.
That's right. Second meeting of the season for the historic 750 Formula Series. The first 2 races were at Croft. It was the first time historic 750 Formula had visited the North Yorkshire circuit, and John Village won both of the races there. But we had Greg Clatten on the podium in the first race in second place. Trevor Slatter was second in race 1, and Timothy Roebuck had 2 podiums, winning Class AS as well. Richard Verheyden won Class A on both occasions at Croft. At the moment he's second within the class behind Mike Whitby. There you can see in the background there the Cooper has just been pulled off back into the paddock.
Yeah, they're very light, they're not difficult to move.
No.
Which is something.
So will we get the safety car lights out? There's something
off, isn't it?
I think we do. Yep, so without further ado, we're going to go back racing again. So this is effectively the third start of this race now. So the Raceparts Historic 750 Formula Series, race 1 of 2 this afternoon, gets back underway. And Tim Sage immediately pulls alongside John Village as they head over the start and finish line, just behind as they cross the timing line.
John's having nothing of it, mind you.
He
and
is.
Just got ducked back down the inside into paddock. He's giving away a lot of power to the 1 litre Ford-powered Mallock.
He is.
Well, U2 as they were called back in the day. They weren't really called Mallocks, were they?
No.
U2 can have a body like mine, as Major Arthur Mallock's adverts went.
So down to Graham Hill Bend for the 6th time in this race. Although it's only the 3rd racing lap. We've got Ben Mile behind in 3rd place. Still Tim Roebuck 4th, leading the supercharged Austin 7 division from Simon Gallen. And still we have cars coming over the line nearly 3/4 of a lap behind, even though we've just resumed after a safety car period, which is quite something. But there is John Village leading the way, then coming through to complete lap 6, and he's pulled out quite a few car lengths now over Tim Sage in 2nd place.
Yeah, Sage then floors the floors his right foot and makes some of that ground back, but it's 3/4 of a second over the line at this point. Mile is still 3rd, Roebuck 4th, Gallen 5th, Grant 6th. That really hasn't fundamentally changed. There's a change though on the inside of paddock as the race kit's Falcon goes up a place. That's Ian Grant at the expense of Simon Gallen. 81 behind is Samuel Bayliss, and he is in his Whippet. He had a big spin in practice coming out to Graham Hill Bend.
So Sam Bayliss there into 7th place, right behind Simon Gallen now. Gallen having lost the place to Ian Grant's Merlin. And they head along the Cooper Straight for the 7th time in this 15-minute race. There's 6 3/4 minutes to go still. There's the next group of cars coming through. And that looks like it's David Lewis, I think, there in the number 99 car.
So Sage led over the line. Village came back at him into paddock but couldn't quite get through.
Yeah, and they've got traffic to deal with now up at Druids, I can see over my right shoulder. We're watching the 26 car, Mike Whitby, who's leading Class A at the moment on screen. And now we're watching the Simon Gallen versus Samuel Bayliss battle for 6th and 7th positions. Meanwhile, the leaders...
It's changed again.
Yeah.
On the straight into Surtees. John Village sailed past the Mallock, or the U2.
Yeah, so the 2 leaders coming through clearways now towards Clark Curve and to the end of the lap. Here they come, and we'll probably see again that Tim Sage can power past on the start and finish straight. He goes through.
It's very frustrating, isn't it, for John Village?
Well, it'll be interesting to see, because Village will try and go back up the inside at Paddock Hill Bend. Can't quite make it work there when there's a slower car ahead. But when they get to the end of the race, if they're that close, then you'd put money on Tim Sage crossing the line ahead, wouldn't you? They've touched.
That was good, wasn't it? Squeezed across, banged wheels, and not even a buy or leave.
bit more like the Formula Ford 1600 racing
That
of John Village
very
youth.
used to.
Yes, yes.
He's not very happy about that.
No, I don't think he will
I
be.
just, that was a little bit unnecessary.
Yes, looks like they've both escaped though. I'm sure Village will be ever more keen to get back ahead of Tim Sage in the Malak as a result. They've got the 85, John Moss, Austin 7 to try and negotiate. I think they'll go one either side, won't they, through Clark Curve.
Whoa, that's quite something.
It was, and it's going to be, I think, yep, it is the Malak U2 back ahead of Tim Sage as they cross the line with 4.5 minutes to go. So they'll probably get 5 more laps out of this race. Assuming there's no more safety car interventions. Village is going to try and get the run on Sage up towards Druids again. This is where they brushed wheels a lap ago. This time a bit more room is left, not a huge amount more, but nevertheless John Village able to go back through on the inside at the hairpin.
Yeah, he's now carrying as much speed as he dares now through Graham Hill Bend. He wants to be away, and he wants to be clear now, because he knows that he's going to big spin for number 13 there.
That's Ben Bowles, isn't it? The driver that had to start from towards the back of the grid after that infringement in qualifying.
Yeah, I think John's decided to get on with it, as they say. And he'll lose out again in the straight line. It's a single SU carburettor on the side of that Ford engine in the U2.
Yes, Village will know that he needs to put a decent gap between himself and Tim Sage to be sure of leading over the finish line.
0.34 was the difference, and he knows that if he can do that again in a couple of laps' time, there's a chance that it'll all work out in his favour.
There's our Class AS leader, Tim Roebuck, in the Austin 7, supercharged Austin 7. That's the car John Miles used to compete in, the late vice president of the 750 Motor Club, among many other notable achievements in motorsport. As we watch the basically it's Merlin, I should say. Lap one of the slower cars there. That's Ian Grant, who's now in 4th position, isn't he?
Yep, he is at 10 laps.
There's Peter Marsh being lapped by Tim Roebuck now. We can see Peter Marsh in the normally aspirated Austin 7 compared to Roebuck's more rapid supercharged version.
They go the leaders through again, 11 laps down, 0.9 between the two. Still John Village and the number 29, the Village V2, that leads the way from Tim Sage. Ben Mile is still 3rd. He's about 5 seconds behind. And then the rest are a long way back, led by number 20, Ian Grant.
Here are the leaders then coming towards us now, I think. Yep, here they are. More traffic for them to deal with.
30th lappery.
Yes, there's quite a disparity of lap times from front to back in historic.
And a big buffer now built by John Village, because he's got a couple of other cars between himself and his pursuer on the 12th lap.
That's right, 1.5 minutes to go, so 2 laps to go here for John Village. And yes, that's a very useful buffer, because only now has Sage cleared that trio of back markers, so the gap now has gone out to 2.82 seconds. He lost about 2 seconds on that lap, did Tim Sage, so that should be enough, you would think, for John Village to try and protect his advantage for the last 2 miles or so of Brands Hatch. There you can see Ben Mile trying to come through as well. That's Charlie Plain-Jones in the number 22 car.
3 abreast at the hairpin there momentarily.
Absolutely, and that is for the lead within Class A as well. And Mike Whitby has just got back ahead of Charlie Plain-Jones. Mike Whitby, who is from Raunds, and he is, 76 years of age. He's raced various different cars within 750 Motor Club categories in the past, but he's got
the Mason Special at one point, didn't he?
I think he raced in stock hatch for a while as well, I seem to recall. He's got the faster car between himself and his rival Charlie Plain-Jones in the Austin 7 class, as John Village is going to go on to his final lap. So he is now 3 seconds clear of Tim Sage, so should be able to make it 3 wins out of 3 this season. There he is, the Village V2. You can see driver a long way back in the car. And Sage, too far distant now to do anything about the... well, it looks like Roebuck's going to be successful in Class AS for the Supercharged 1970s, 4 seconds clear of Simon Gallen. And Mike Whitby and Charlie Plain-Jones still doing battle within Class A for the Austin Sevens.
And Richard Verheyden not far behind them.
That's right. Anyway, here comes John Village around the final corner. And he's going to come up to the line. There he is in the Village V2 to take the checkered flag. And he wins the 3rd race of the season in the Raceparts historic 750 Formula Series. Tim Sage goes across the line 3.39 seconds adrift in the end. Ben Mile is in 3rd place in the Gerald, 11.31 seconds behind the winner, John Village. And just now there over the line go the 2 Class A protagonists, Mike Whitby defeating Charlie Plain-Jones by about 0.3 of a second in the end. Charlie Plain-Jones did his best lap of the race on the final lap, but it was to no avail. He couldn't get past Mike Whitby, so a nice little scrap there. And we're waiting for Ian Grant to come through in 4th place. There he is in car number 20, the Race Kits Merlin, ahead of our Class AS winner. That's Timothy Roebuck, who finishes around about 4.5 seconds clear of Simon Gallen in the Supercharged Austin 7 class. So an entertaining race that at times, Marcus, although we had those couple of early safety car interventions.
Exactly. Once they got going, it was all good fun, apart from the slight wheel banging at the hairpin.
Yeah, I'm sure if anything that fired John Village up and spurred him on to that victory. Let's have a look at the results of that race then. John Village confirmed as the winner at the end of 14 laps, with those couple of 2 or 3 safety car laps in the early stages. So 29 the winner from 42, Tim Sage in 2nd place, about 3 seconds behind. 3rd to number 12, Ben Mile. In 4th place, number 20, Ian Grant. The winner of Class AS, Tim Roebuck, was 5th in car number 18. In his Austin 7 from Simon Gallen, number 61 in 6th place. Then 7th was number 99, David Lewis. 8th was number 81, Samuel Bayliss. Then came 4 Austin 7 class cars, Class A cars altogether. Mike Whitby, Charlie Plain-Jones, separated by just over 1/4 of a second, 26 from 22. Then Richard Verheyden and John Moss. Ben Bolt survived and off to finish 13th place in car number 13. Ahead of Peter Marsh, who was 2 laps down in his Austin 7. And then in 15th place was Nick Hayward-Cook, ahead of Tim Mile, and obviously James Wilson, a very early retirement, as was Paul Mason as well. So that brings the first of our day's historic 750 Formula Series races to an end. We'll see them out again towards the end of the afternoon.